What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of JohnnyVTV Live. Twice in 1 week, we had to make it up to everybody because, unfortunately, schedules were conflicting last week. So we couldn't have a show. We had a great guest on Tuesday, Eli Fishman, New York Yankees reporter for the summer season. Today, I'm joined with my boy back in action, Nick Durst. How we doing today, kid?
How you liking those Olympics, Johnny?
Yeah,
USA's going for the gold in baseball. Todd Frazier bringing the gold medal home to New Jersey.
Dude, our boy Kyle cannot make it today, but we have a great guest. Been looking forward to this because we've been trying to get this guy for quite some time, and we finally got him, a new friend of the show. Should we bring him out, Nick?
This guy is just incredible. I worked with him. I mean, not only is he great at his job, but he's a very well-accomplished author as well.
We will get into that because I want to hear about his novels. But before we do that, let's bring him out. One, Matthew Orso. JohnnyVTV welcomes you. MLB researcher Matthew Orso to the show. Welcome to JohnnyVTV Live, man. Thanks for joining us.
I'm honored. I've been looking forward to this for a while. I got a lot of rants built up. So much. It's the trade deadline. It's the greatest time of the year to be a baseball fan. So many moves, so many teams in it. It's going to be awesome, and I can't wait to see what happens.
Amen, brother. We were talking off air. We had a couple trades that we were getting into, and we'll definitely touch on them later. But listen, man, you're our guy. Give us the scoop. All those guys that have not been moved yet. Who is on the move? Mr. Orso, you're up.
There's so much. I think Jose Barrios gets dealt. A lot of tweets coming out from like Kenny Rosenthal, John Heyman, Barrios. Now that Scherzer, it looks like not official, nothing close yet. Scherzer going to the Padres. That rotation, by the way, Darvish, Snell, when good, Scherzer, Musgrove, who threw a no-hitter this year, absolutely amazing. I think Barrios is going to get dealt. Bryant's going to be dealt by tomorrow. Anthony Rizzo to the Red Sox is a rumor that's going out online right now. Possibly Kyle Schwarber. There's always some sort of name you don't expect, like Zach Greinke a few years ago, like minutes before the deadline. And there have already been so many moves. I did not expect Cesar Hernandez to go to the White Sox from the Cleveland today. That was under the radar.
Which is a good move, by the way. That's not a sexy signing, but that's a guy that's going to fill in for Nick Madrigal loss, I think, pretty effectively. He doesn't have to do too much. Just got to be a solid guy in the lineup and out there on the field and maybe steal you some bases. So I really think that this is a good signing for Chicago.
He gets on base, not great average hitter, but power, about 19 home runs, I believe, around this season. Great bat, good defensively, is going to help fill that void when Madrigal being out for the rest of the year. And that lineup is just going to get better. Luis Robert's going to come back at some point. You just get Eloy Jimenez back. Jose Abreu, one of the most underrated players in baseball. Tony La Russa, with all the questioning about whether he would be able to do well in this new generation, coming back already a Baseball Hall of Famer, his club's got like an 8.5 game lead, the largest of any team in the majors. So hats off to him thus far.
Can they beat the Astros, though?
Hell yeah.
Yes, they can. They got a Houston. Remember last year, we all thought Houston was going to be horrible. Dusty Baker.
Hats off to Dusty Baker. The old guy's getting it done.
You know what? Next year, he could get his 2,000th managerial win. He's up to like 1953, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Or so they got to put his wristbands in the Hall of Fame if he does that.
They got to put him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
let me tell you, a guy who's teammates with Hank Aaron, going back to the late 60s with the Braves, spent his entire life in baseball, manager of the 2002 Giants that, they didn't win the World Series. If Houston wins the World Series, and if Baker gets to 2,000 wins, easy Hall of Famer. Everything he's done in his career.
And everyone credits him with inventing the high five.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
Apparently he gave Hank Aaron like a high five or something, and that became a thing. That's what I heard. I'm not sure, though.
Okay, well, let's just assume that's true for the sake of I honestly don't know.
Hey, Matt, real quick. You're talking some of these rumors. Some of these guys are going to be on the move, but let's dial it in. we saw that Scherzer's preferring the West Coast right now, whether it's going to be the Dodgers, the Giants, or the Padres. And honestly, any of those teams would be lucky to get him. Both of them, excluding the Giants, don't need him. That's just an extra edge to kind of push him over the top. But where are guys like Trey Turner going to end up? Where's guys like Kyle Schwarber going to end up? Where's Jose Barrios going? Is Anthony Rizzo going to go to the Red Sox? Do we have any validity to these reports that are swirling around the Twitter sphere?
Everything is fluid at this point. As you know, trades can happen and then they can be swept from under the rug. We saw this a couple of days ago where all the reports were saying Tyler Anderson was going to go to the Phillies. And then last second, some things fall apart and he ends up with Seattle. So everything is fluid at the moment. I think Jose Barrios ends up with, I think a dark horse in getting Barrios are the Astros, who need to improve their pitching depth. Granted, they've seen great things from Luis Garcia this year. Valdez has improved. Greinke is the anchor, but he's 37 years old. You might get Verlander back maybe at the end of the year, depending on how he is with the Tommy John surgery. But an extra arm for Houston, especially in the bullpen. Now, they just got Kendall Graveman, which is a whole nother issue with Seattle trading him to Houston in that series. That was a big if you're Seattle. But everything is just so fluid. I think Rizzo does go to Boston. He was originally drafted by them. I think he was originally drafted by Boston. Original part of that franchise. Left-handed bat, short porch at Fenway, can go hit the opposite way. I think that would be great for Boston. Granted, as a Yankee fan, I don't want to see that, but it could be a very real possibility. Barrios could also, I think the Yankees are in play on Barrios. I don't think Trey Turner goes anywhere. He was just placed on the COVID IL. A lot of Nationals have had that. He's a guy who's a free agent after next season, so he's still under play for 2022. It depends on what moves the Nationals are going to make. It looks like at this point, if you're getting rid of Scherzer, if you're going to get rid of Schwarber, it's a selling market. I just don't know if there's enough right now for Turner to be traded. You also have to keep in mind, there is a huge class of free agent shortstops coming out after this season. With Story, with Baez, with a bunch of Carlos Correa, a bunch of these guys are free agents after this year. So I think Washington might be better suited on holding on to Scherzer and waiting for a team that doesn't get one of these free agent shortstops and then gilling him possibly at the next deadline.
So let me ask you a question here, because you brought these two guys up, Javi Baez, Trevor Story. So coming into the season, I thought that Chicago was going to be trading two of their three stars, Bryant, Baez, Rizzo. I thought Rizzo contractually and for a couple of reasons thought he was going to be the guy to stay. Bryant, it's been a failed marriage from day one with Chicago, their organization. Baez looked like he was going to be on his way out. And Baez has come out publicly and said, I want to play with Frankie Lindor, which would be a gigantic get for the Mets. So where's Baez going? Where's Trevor Story going? Trevor Story looks like he's definitely out of his way in Colorado, but it's been a little bit silent on the suitors for him. Have you heard anything for those two shortstops?
Nothing like personally that I've heard, but you got to keep in mind, I thought the White Sox were going to be a fit for Story, moving him to second base, but then you get Hernandez. So that kind of takes him out of the equation there. I think the Yankees are a fit for Story, depending on how you're going to work out this luxury tax. They are not, as much as Yankee fans want to hear it, they are not going over that first tier. They're going to be penny pinching for a sense. We don't like it, but that's what it is. I could see Story with the Yankees depending on how contracts are moved. Baez to the Mets. Now, the rumors that I am hearing, not personally, but just from reading everything that I can, the Mets want to make a big splash. They want to do something. This is Steve Cohen's first year. I see Durst getting happy, getting excited here. I think Baez to the Mets is a realistic possibility based on what they need. Lindor's still going to be out probably till mid-August. That offense, it's picked up a little bit lately. Post All-Star break, Alonso, after the home run derby, hit another home run today. He's got 23 on the year. They need more of an offensive boost. Now, you're going to get DeGrom back probably within a week or so. Carlos Carrasco in the rotation, he's coming back on Friday. You just got Rich Hill, which I think was an extremely underrated move. Yes, he's ancient. He's older than his manager and his pitching coach. He's 41 years old.
Dick Mountain.
Exactly. Very underrated move, though. Very underrated. Sub-4 ERA, lefty who's going to give you innings. And when in the Mets bullpen, it's been depleted of late. Let me tell you, that move in itself was huge. getting Carrasco back, Syndergaard, possibly a September guy, could come in at the end, a la Luis Severino with the Yankees later on this year, and Corey Kluber. So I think the Mets are definitely going to deal for another bat to boost that offense. At times this year, they've looked okay. At other times, they've really looked bad. Not New York Yankees early in the season getting shut out with Cole on the mound today bad, but still bad.
Listen, Orso, the Mets have looked atrocious since the All-Star break. They lose 3 of 5 to the Braves. Phillies sweep the Nationals today. The Nationals did all they could to lose their second game today. They're up 7-0. They lose on a grand slam. I mean, the Nationals are just done. That is door now. But the thing with the Mets, if you're going to trade with the Cubs, you got to go big, and you got to try to get Craig Kimbrell. Did you see how atrocious Edwin Diaz was last night and the Mets getting the save? I was at the game. This guy got so lucky. Oh, Orso, you were at the game. Where were you sitting?
We were in the 420s. My cousin and I, he got like the 80% discount with the Alonso
tickets, yeah.
Yeah. Did you want to go? And I'm like, all right. Yeah. So we went. It was fun. Had some hot dogs. It was honestly, I'll be honest, I was checking my phone every like 2 seconds.
Gallo. He's watching the Gallo update. Aaron Judge was benched. I mean, how scared were you?
Well, he was. I don't know.
I was with Joe.
Why, but
he was like, "Oh my gosh, they're trading Judge." I was like, "No, they're not trading Judge."
No, not trade. It was medical stuff. Judge doesn't want to comment on the whole, yada yada yada. But once I saw him pinch hitting for Florial, a couple innings in, I'm like, okay, it's fine. He'll be, we'll be fine. Getting Gallo, let me tell you, there was a
hang on. We're not there yet. We're not there.
Talking about the Mets.
Okay.
We're not there yet.
I'll circle it back. Okay.
Jonathan Holder, hold your horses.
No. You know that's my trigger word. You know that. Whole story. I'll explain later why Jonathan Holder. I didn't start the thing on Twitter about sending Jonathan Holder to the Sun, but I might have bought him a ticket.
All right. So, but the Mets, though, I'm John's agreement here. They need a closer. You can't trust Diaz in the postseason. They need a starter. They need to get another starter. And they got to get a big bat. Now, Baez, I don't know. Me and Johnny are in agreement here. I think Trevor Story would be a better fit for this team, pure rental. But if they're going to get a Cub, I think they got to go for the MVP and get Chris Bryant because he gives them a lot more flexibility, especially with the fact that Conforto's not hitting. Stom Smith keeps going into slumps. JD Davis is going in and out of slumps here. So give you some flexibility there. I'd like to see them get Chris Bryant or Trevor Story. Baez, to me, I'd worry about him coming to New York, and he'd have to be, filling huge shoes, and maybe the pressure would get to him. Maybe not. I don't know. What do you think, Johnny, as far as who they should be targeting the Mets?
Well, real quick, we got our boy Tyler Wilson, friend of the show, writer for the Miami Marlins.
Yeah, who said the Mets will have no shot to win the division?
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, Ty. All right. So he thinks Barrios is going to go to Philly. We hope not. And then he said Johnny thinks the Mets are going to win NL East. We talked about that months ago.
Johnny's got the Mets winning the World Series.
God damn, baby. Hell yeah. We got that futures bet. I'm like a wizard with the futures bets. But in any case, listen, I like Javi Baez. I think he's a much better shortstop by far than Trevor Story. I think I've said it the last few shows. I believe this for a long time. I think Trevor Story is a product of Coors Field. He's a great defensive shortstop. He can steal bases. He's a good hitter, but check out his split stats. He is nothing compared to what he is on the road as he is at home. He's a much better Coors Field hitter. That's just the nature of the beast. However, although I think Javi Baez is the better pickup between the two, the thing with Trevor Story is I think Colorado, like they did with Arenado, will let him go for pennies on the dollar. Trevor Story, to me, is a guy, as a Mets fan, I can look and say, all right, I'm cool with giving up what we got to get him because it's probably not going to be as expensive as Javi Baez and not having to worry about keeping him in the offseason. Whereas a Javi Baez, if he comes in the door, same thing with a Chris Bryant. If either of those guys come in the door, I don't want them leaving. Now that puts on the perspective of where are you at with the contracts? Now you're going to dish out. Look at what Lindor got. He got $340 million. Javi Baez, when he wants to get paid, what do you think he's going to want to get paid? You're going to tell me you're going to get two shortstops that are in the $300+ million range? I don't think so. Story is a rental guy. That's why I think he'd be better fit for right now. Baez or Bryant come through that door. I would not want them to leave. It's going to be too costly for a half a season rental. That's my opinion. But any acquisition the Mets get is a big boost to the lineup. Their pitching staff is disgusting. I'll put them up against any single pitching staff in the not only NL, but the MLB. Nobody's going to want to face DeGrom come game one. He's the best in the business for a reason.
Hopefully he gets back.
He'll be back. He'll be back.
It's supposed to be
back. So imagine if Francisco Lindor batted 250 in the
Boogie
first
Davis. Look at this guy, bro. Kevin Davis, the go. Another friend of the show. He's got a futures on every other NL East team than the Mets. Yeah, we know, Kevin. You don't like the Mets. We know. We had to hear about this to win the division. Well, luckily, it looks like the Mets, assuming our boy Frank the Tank doesn't jinx him into a colossal meltdown like they had once upon a time all those years ago. In any case, I would say that the Mets are looking pretty good. But that brings us on to another point here. Orso, give me a dark horse team to look out for the rest of the season.
This is a very dark horse team, and not so much what we're talking this year, but next year, the Detroit Tigers. Stay with me on this. Since the start of play May 8th, the Tigers are 9 games over 500. That's 40-31. If the season started May 8th, the Tigers are currently the second AL wildcard team. This is a club that's built on the future. Casey Mize, a lot of comps to Justin Verlander. They draft really well, got a good nucleus of the team there. Jonathan Scope, let me tell you, one of the more underrated players in baseball at his position. Akil Baddoo's been very, he was talked about a lot, start of the season, cooled down a bit. He's putting together a fine rookie year, Rule 5 pick from the Twins. There is a lot of talent in this organization, and they have been playing 9 games over 500 for nearly half the season. 71 game span. They're 9 games over. This is a team, the Central Divisions, you take the White Sox away, it's not that competitive. It's a team that could compete theoretically next year.
And they will spend money. They will be in the market for one of those top-tier free agents this offseason.
Okay,
exactly.
So let me ask you, so that's next year. And honestly, it's not that far off. They need a couple more pieces to get in free agency next year. But if you're looking out for the rest of this season, who's the team that's going to surprise you?
Yankees.
No. Well, I hope so. Let's start there. The Milwaukee Brewers, that top tier of the rotation is absolutely mind-boggling. 3 of the top 5 ERAs in the National League, even with DeGrom in that mix. Because first part of the year, I was surprised with the Mets, with Walker doing so well, and Stroman, and DeGrom. Now DeGrom's been hurt, and Stroman's been okay, and Walker's been dog duty, at least since the All-Star break. But the top of that Brewers rotation is absolutely amazing. Josh Hader, Devin Williams at the back end, spectacular. That's a team come playoff time. If you're playing a 5-game series, you got to face 3 of those starters like in the LDS, 5 games, boom. They can win that. They can challenge the Dodgers and Padres in that LCS, depending on which teams, the positioning. I don't believe the Giants will make it just because aging veterans in the long run, course of a season, they're going to go down. Dodgers, Padres, they got the pitching to withstand it, especially if the Padres get Scherzer. But I love what that Brewers team can do, and getting Escobar was low-key, and I know we'll talk about it later, low-key, really good move.
You know what? I'm inclined to agree with you because when I was putting this format together for today, I was thinking about what dark horse team. What's a team nobody's really talking about? And I had to say the Brewers had to be the choice. I mean, I had the Cardinals winning the division coming into the season. I like the Brewers. I knew how good their pitching staff was. But the fact is, even with Yelich and Locane, at the start of the year, their offense to me wasn't anything special. I think the Cardinals, their pitching has come back to bite them in the ass. That's just the bottom line. Of course, I knew that coming into the year. Jack Flaherty was great for the time he's been healthy, but I was counting on St. Louis to go get another pitcher to go along with him. Their offense to me was set. Arenado and Goldie, as they're locked and loaded 3 and 4 with guys like Tommy Edman. I mean, if Matt Carpenter could have turned around, I mean, even Yadier Molina is given production at this point. Harrison Bader, you got all these guys. But now it looks like it's the Brewers' turn. Their pitching is the only one I would say that could actually compete with the Mets when it comes to the playoffs. They're not as big of names to the casual fan, but a guy like Brandon Woodruff, who's been an absolute savage the last few years. Corbin Burns is really starting to put it together. Freddie Peralta's having an unbelievable season. And then you get the guys at the back end of the rotation, like the Adrian Hausers and the Eric Lauer, like those guys as 4 and 5s. I mean, those are pretty goddamn good 4 and 5 pitchers, if you ask me. So I definitely agree with the Brewers. And that actually leads us into our next segment. So good job. You're on point there. Big acquisition so far. And we'll talk about this a little bit later with Eduardo Escobar. He just gets picked up by the Brewers via trade the other day, or might have been yesterday. And honestly, I think he is one of the most underrated players in the MLB. He plays in Arizona, so people don't really know who he is. He plays second base, third base, switch hitter. He hits absolute piss missiles. He's the guy you could put into the middle of your lineup, and instantly it gets better. He could play defense. I mean, him, along with his former teammate Ketel Marte, to me, are 2 of the most underrated assets in baseball. And I'm honestly curious to see if Ketel Marte gets moved, because he also plays the outfield as well as second base. So that was a big one right there. I think that makes them very legit. If Christian Yelich could get himself back together to his MVP form, then we're looking at a very formidable 3-4 with Eduardo Escobar and Christian Yelich. Next, your team, the New York Yankees. Joey Gallo. That was the pick. That was the player everybody in the Yankees organization was looking for. The Yankee fans were gunning for Joey Gallo. I like that move. I do. And we're going to disagree here. I think Joey Gallo is a Giancarlo Stanton 2.0 for this reason. The guy hits absolute piss missiles. He hits bombs. He is arguably, if not the most raw power in the game, he's top 3. Let's say a guy like Matt Olson's up there right along with him. But here's the issue. Yes, he plays great defense. He has 4 results when he steps to the plate: a walk, a single, a strikeout, or a home run. The guy does not put the ball in play that much. He's a career 230 hitter. He doesn't ever have one single season with a batting average better than 253. I mean, yes, that's great, and he's a lefty, which is what they need. But the sheer fact of the matter is the Yankees have done this for far too long. They have too many guys they rely on to just hit long balls. Look at a guy like Giancarlo Stanton. That's why I would have thought and I would have hoped that the Yankees go after a team like the Diamondbacks and try and figure something out to get either or both of them, Escobar and Ketel Marte. You have a different opinion, so let's hear about it.
I love the move. Now, to your point, if I'm the Yankees, I probably was looking at Starling Marte with the Marlins beforehand. That might have fit. He was, granted, right-handed bat, which fits into a whole team of right-handed bats. But if they had gotten him, speed, offense, the whole package, that would have been fine too. Joey Gallo leads the majors in walks. On base, nearly 400. 25 home runs. This season, the Yankees, the house that Ruth built, some of the greatest lefties of all time have played for the New York Yankees. They have the second fewest plate appearances from left-handed batters this season. Only Toronto has fewer. They've hit 22 home runs, 22 from the left side of the plate, third fewest in the majors. Joey Gallo has 25 home runs, more than every Yankee lefty combined this season. This is a guy you need to separate and to have parity in the order. Having Gallo batting third between Judge and Stanton is huge. It lengthens the lineup, not just because you get Gallo. And he's a Gold Glove caliber defense. I know a lot of people don't like the new era of stats, but I'm going to give this to you. The highest DRS of any player at any position in the majors this season, plus 14. Yankees DRS from the outfield this year, -8, tied for 22nd out of 30 teams in the majors. Not good. Having Gallo in the lineup gives you much, much more production, both offense.
Is he going to play left field or first base?
Oh, he's going to play left. Well, I caveat saying as of this moment, he's going to play left field. What's going to happen? Are the Yankees going to deal Luke Voit? Where do you put LeMahieu? Do you put LeMahieu at first then? It depends on the pieces you're going to get.
If you move Voit and get Trevor Story, then I would guess LeMahieu goes to first.
I would agree. If you let's say hypothetically you do move Luke Voit. You see LeMahieu at first. You put Story at short. You move Glaber, who's not great at shortstop, but above average at second base. You slide him at second, and you have Urshela at third. You put Gallo in left field. And more importantly to me, that takes Brett Gardner out of the lineup. Let me tell you something. Brett Gardner leads the Yankees outfielders in games played and innings this season in the outfield. That is unacceptable. I don't care what injuries there have been. I don't care what's happened. In no way, shape, or form should Brett Gardner be leading any category among Yankees outfielders.
Who's gonna play center field? Who's playing center field?
I'll put Judge in center field.
Oh, all right. So Schwarber left, Gallo right, and Judge in center.
Do it. Have Stanton DH. Have Stanton pinch hit. Honestly, he was 0 for 4 today with 3 strikeouts. It was not pretty watching the Yankees lose 14-0 and get a day off today. I'm like, okay, I got to clean my car, or do I watch the Yankee game? I was watching the Yankee game. After 2 innings, I turn it off. Boom, I'm cleaning my car. It's that bad. Both the car and the Yankees lineup. I don't want to see Brett Gardner start another game in the outfield this season. Granted, he's the one link we have to our 2009 championship team. He's got to stay on the bench. He's not good.
Orso, all right, Orso, hold on for a second, because
sorry, go on.
Listen, I agree with you. I do. I just think I told you I don't hate the Joey Gallo move. It's not enough though. They need another piece. They need another. They, in my opinion, they needed 3 guys to pick up, which is going to be a hefty price.
Guys, I got breaking news. Anthony Rizzo to the Yankees. Jack Carter reporting.
Wait, what?
Are you serious? As we're doing this?
Seriously? Hang on, I'm checking Twitter.
I'm disgusted, but I would assume Luke Voigt's going back the other way.
You're lying.
Yes!
You're lying.
No! Ken Rosenthal! Oh, yeah!
Are you serious? Rizzo's getting moved right now?
Rizzo to the New York Yankees!
Wow.
Oh, my gosh! I love this! He was going to go to Boston! No! He's in the Bronx, baby!
Wow, that's a huge. Okay, well, now the Gallo move is fine. No, I didn't see that coming. Now the Gallo move is fine. Now the Gallo move is fine, because they need. I literally was just saying they needed somebody else. I was literally just saying that. So now that's a different story. Anthony Rizzo, that was a gigantic pickup. That's a huge pickup. So let's lead us right into our next segment.
The Luke Voigt era is over.
What's your favorite move so far, Orso?
This, right now! This! Oh my God! This was perfect timing. Durst, you knew I was going to react like this. You knew it. That's why you said it here. Oh my God!
I called Ken Rosenthal last week. I said we're thinking to get Orso on the show next week. Can you hold the news for about 6:30 on next Thursday? So he called up Brian Cashman. He called Hoyer up when it happened.
So let me say this, just as I'm thinking about it, just as this, I'm processing all this. Having Rizzo in the lineup, another lefty at first base, that kind of bat, along with Gallo, this could be the greatest. See, a couple days ago, and I told you guys this off air, I come home from work, and I'm seeing, the Yankees trade Luis Cessa and Justin Wilson to the Reds for a player to be named later. And I'm telling you, for absolute certainty, I was having a freak-out moment because we had Nestor Cortez Jr. starting the next day with a depleted bullpen, and I was relying on Cessa for multiple scoreless innings. So to say I was freaking out is not out of the realm of possibility. But now, Brian Cashman, you beautiful, beautiful genius, getting Rizzo, getting Gallo. Oh my gosh, loving this. So loving this.
Dude, that's a gigantic move. So I said that I think they needed 3 moves. Their next move's got to be a pitcher. Now we'll see if they go get Jose Barrios from the Twins, because if they get Barrios from the Twins, I think it's a brand new season for the Yankees. I think it's a brand new season, because not only did they get Anthony Rizzo and insert him into the lineup, but they kept Boston from getting him.
Oh my gosh, this is.
Do you care? Does it matter to you at all what prospect they gave up, Orso?
Well, I'm going on the Twitter sphere right now.
It's 100%.
Just
Luke
checking
Voit is
everything.
100% going to the Cubs.
It's got to be Dominguez, right?
No.
Dominguez and Voit?
Okay. Let me start right there. If Jason Dominguez is a part of this deal, this is a bad deal. There are comps with Dominguez to Mike Trout. Dominguez is not being given up under any circumstance. I don't care if we're getting Scherzer, Trey Turner. There's one player, and I talked about this with friends at work. One player I would give up for Dominguez, and that's Juan Soto. Other than Juan Soto, I ain't giving up Dominguez.
Shohei Ohtani.
I saw someone make this ridiculous tweet, and was probably just trolling earlier today. Tyler Wade for Shohei Ohtani. Tyler Wade is another guy I would not put anywhere near a major league roster the way he's played. Now, he has a sentimental place in my heart. For those who don't know, my grandfather, he taught me everything about baseball, bred me to be a Yankee fan. The last home run I got to call him, because I would always call him after every home run. The last home run was a Tyler Wade home run the day he died. Tyler Wade, in that sense, will always have a special place in my heart. But if you take that out of the equation, I don't want him anywhere near a roster. And now I remembered why I was ranting about Tyler Wade. The trade was Wade for Shohei Ohtani. Yes, I would give up Dominguez for Ohtani.
Listen, I think the Yankees Orso, they should 100% go get Kyle Schwarber right now. They got to get him. Put him in left, Judge in center, Gallo in right. You're going to get Schwarber for nothing, and you know Cashman's wanted Schwarber for about 8 years.
3 left-handed bats in a lineup in the span of 24 hours.
We need a starter. I agree with Johnny. We need a starter right now. Yes, we're going to get Severino. Yes, we might get Kluber back. Those are injuries waiting to happen.
I don't think we'll get Bumgarner. Take on his salary.
I want Barrios. Let's get Barrios.
He's the only. It's Barrios or Scherzer, dude. Scherzer doesn't want to go to New York, and you're gonna have to give up probably Dominguez to get him. And then Barrios is like, you're gonna overpay for Barrios slightly, but I mean, at this point, if you get Barrios, dude, then you're in solid shape.
Why would the Twins do that? I mean, unless they're getting Dominguez, they would be stupid to help the Yankees.
Because they're gonna have to pay Barrios, and he has not lived up to. He has not even come close to living up to what they thought.
But there's gonna be other suitors for Barrios, I would think.
Yes.
That's why I think Scherzer's going to go to the Padres, and I think Trevor Story is going to end up on the A's or something. Because now the A's got to react here because the Yankees are coming for them.
That's a very good point. I think the A's getting Marte yesterday was huge. I think the Marlins getting Jesus Luzardo. Now, talk about an underdog deal. That Marlins rotation come 2024, if they can get some offensive pieces, that's going to be a scary team in the NL East. What Jeter is doing in Miami, a lot of people have questioned what he's done. It's a little unorthodox to a degree. But let me tell you, that pitching depth is going to be huge in a couple of seasons. To watch out for that.
Our boy Tyler Wilson would agree. So let's move on.
That's one of the best moves right there. I mean, favorite moves. That was a mutual move right there. Luzardo's starting the wild card game last year. Isn't that ridiculous? My favorite move so far is definitely Rich Hill. You mentioned earlier Orso. I mean, that was under the radar, and Hill he pitched great so far, and we'll see what happens. Underrated move. It's interesting because the Rays are going for it, and they're like, we don't need Rich Hill. He's good. We'll get rid of him and we'll take nobody back.
All right, boys, moving on here. Let's go. We talked about it before, but is NL Central written in stone here?
Yes and no. I think we talked before with the Brewers and with that pitching depth and getting Escobar, who tied for 5th in the National League in home runs with 22, tied for 6th in the NL in RBIs with 65, can play multiple positions, a good, solid piece to a Brewers offense that has the worst batting average in the National League at 226. They need to improve there. However, it's a 7-game lead over the Cincinnati Reds. I like what the Reds have done the last couple of days. Getting Luis Cessa, getting Michael Givens out of Colorado, good, underrated, solid reliever. If Justin Wilson can figure out, what's been screwing him up this year, he's got a 7.28 ERA with the Yankees, but he's got a good 97-mile-per-hour fastball at its peak. Improving that Reds bullpen, which had the 2nd worst bullpen ERA in the majors this year, huge. I think the Reds, if their bats can get healthy, if Castellanos can come back healthy, if Winker can start to heat up, Jonathan India, very underrated guy, rookie towards the leadoff spot of the order. Joey Votto, home run and franchise record, 6 straight games, starting to look like the Votto of old. If all those pieces come together, it will make it interesting. but I don't think the Reds can overcome a 7-game deficit.
That's a fair point. I always liked the Reds. I didn't believe in their pitching. And this is when I thought Luis Castillo was going to have a big season. I will say though, since the calendar turned to June, he's been the guy that Cincinnati was hoping for. He's been lights out since the calendar turned to June. Tyler Mahle has been good for most of the season. Sonny Gray is like a hit or miss kind of guy. So it's definitely interesting. Would you say the Cardinals are definitely out of it?
Yeah. I think I don't want to say it's been poor seasons by Arenado and Goldschmidt, but definitely below what you would expect. The rotation hasn't been what I would hope. The bullpen struggled for St. Louis. I think they're not a team that's going to sell. Obviously, you make that huge trade for Arenado, you expect to be competing, and the season's not over by any stretch. But you are not getting an NL wildcard spot if you are in the East or the Central. That's coming out of the West. We all know it. So all you got is division or bust. Cardinals, I think they're like 10 games out of the division right now, somewhere around there. Not great. Obviously, anything can happen. We still got 2 months to go. I don't see the Cardinals making a run. I think.
Can you see the Cardinals selling or staying put or adding?
I think staying put. This is a team.
How about the Reds? You think the Reds are going to sell?
No, I think they're going. I think they're buying to a degree. Okay. Getting Sessa, getting Justin Wilson, getting Michael Givens for that bullpen. That had the second worst bullpen ERA in the majors coming into play today, like 5.35. It's huge for the back end of that pen, which has been a huge weakness.
They should bring back Matt Harvey. I know we had a Matt Harvey comment earlier.
Oh my gosh! Okay, he was one of his few wins this year was against the Yankees, so that's like eating under me already. Harvey, I think that's interesting to see if Baltimore would move him because he's only on a 1-year deal. Maybe it's a cheap rental for some team who everyone thinks if they can just recapture his magic from what he was in 2015.
Listen, you can't tell me Jared Eichhoff is a better option to starting pitcher than Matt Harvey, but I think Harvey should be a reliever. I actually think he'd have a good career. That's
a good point. Also, the Mets starting Jared Eichhoff a couple days ago was probably one of the stupidest decisions I've ever seen because he was absolutely
he was off his couch. Or big weekend series, Reds and Mets this weekend. It's going to tell a lot about the future of the NL Central.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think the Indians are going to move anybody? They have a knack for trading guys in their prime and not really getting anything for it.
Watch Jose Ramirez. Because I don't see Cleveland being a contender. I think it's going downhill. They had their success. They made the World Series in 2016. This is a team that I think is, starting to look towards a rebuild. Their ownership has proven they're not really going to spend for this club. And I don't see Cleveland, you saw it with Cesar Hernandez going to a division rival. I think there are pieces they are going to trade. So I would definitely look at Jose Ramirez. And as a dark horse, if they are serious about rebuilding, take a look at Zach Plesac and see if he is moved. He's a solid guy, innings eater. We're not 100% sure if he's going to be a great pitcher like Shane Bieber, if he's going to be a middle or average of the rotation guy. I'm not hearing anything, but I think that would be an interesting dark horse if Cleveland does end up selling.
It's a good point. As we swing over to the AL, we touched on it before. Now is a great time to talk about it. All these moves that the Yankees have made, and I'm sure there's probably at least one or two more coming. Is it too little, too late for the Yankees?
Hang on one sec. No, I was just checking the Twitterverse. No, it is not too little, too late. Joey Gallo, Anthony Rizzo. Now, here's the thing. I want to see how much collectively, the Yankees are going to save, how much the Cubs are paying in that Rizzo deal. If the Cubs are paying most of the remaining salary, that's huge, and the Yankees can try and get another piece. If the Yankees are too close to the 210 mark, they're not doing anything else. It's going to be Rizzo and it's going to be Gallo, which I think, while great, absolutely awesome, you need an arm, whether it's in another bullpen arm or another rotation piece. I don't think it's too late for the division. It's much too late for the division unless you go on an amazing run.
The Yankees need to get an ace. I mean, how can you trust Garrett Cole in the wild card game?
You can easily trust Garrett Cole in the wild card game. 1,000% you can. One bad start. I'm not worried about a bad start against Tampa at this point in the season, because you have to keep in mind that a lot of these guys are going to have fatigue this year. This is, he played 60 games last year. Cole's pitched way more, I think almost a third of the innings more than all of last season. So there's going to be some fatigue. I think we're going to see that as a trend in August. A lot of starters going shorter innings than they normally would because there's going to be some blowout games. We saw it yesterday, ironically, with the Tigers and the Twins when the Tigers put up 17 runs against J-Happ and Minnesota. J-Happ's bad. He's not 17 runs bad. So I think that's going to be a trend we're going to see. The Yankees are not done playoff chance-wise. I think catching Tampa might be a little too much. They have an easier stretch of games coming up. This stretch is going to be the key. You're facing Miami, Baltimore, the Royals, and Mariners for your next 13 games. If New York can go 10-3 in that span, then they have a shot to catch up to Tampa. If they don't, then it's going to be tough. One thing of note, I will say, the Yankees are done playing at Tropicana Field this year. So they don't have to go back there unless it would be for the wild card game. They're 5-4 at the Trop, which is their first winning series there since 2015. So they're going to play the A's coming up. That's going to be huge. It's going to be an interesting series with Miami, Rizzo being there too. He's a Florida guy. I'm getting excited.
Love to see it. So as we're wrapping up the show, let's bring on my favorite segment, Gambling Guinea's best betting trends of the night. Let's get after it. First off, we got the Padres run line -1.5. We got Joe Musgrove on the bump today against those Colorado Rockies. The second or the worst road team in baseball. They only got 12 or 13 road wins this year. That's brutal. The money line price is way too expensive, so that's why we need them to win by 2 runs, which is definitely feasible tonight with Musgrove on the bump. -134 is not a bad price. Next, we got the Milwaukee Brewers. We talked about them a lot today. First 5, -0.5 a run, -138 at the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, the Pirates, what I can't stand about them, they have a weird ability, unlike any other team, that just can show up and absolutely dominate a game out of nowhere against a team they're not supposed to, or fall flat on their face. Freddie Peralta is on the bump tonight for Milwaukee. I think he's going to come out, have a big game. Eduardo Escobar, welcome to Milwaukee. He might have a 3-for-4 home run, 4 RBI kind of night. I think Milwaukee gets off to a fast start against Chad Kuhl of Pittsburgh, who has at many times been, let's just say, a little erratic. Kazadich, this is the Gambling Guinea's weekly taste. Your Honor, no objections. So let's leave the floor for Mr. Orso. Who is your emerging player of the night? Already touched on, and why?
Jonathan Scope against the Orioles. 2 home runs, 6 career games against Baltimore. His last 16 games, batting .338, 10 ribbies, 11 runs scored. One of the most underrated players at his position, second base in baseball, because we don't usually, we don't pay much attention to Detroit. Let's be honest, we don't. But like I said earlier, they're a team, the last 71 games, really a full half season, 9 games over, team to watch, years coming up, Scope, good solid piece. Also keep your eye, Robbie Grossman on that team, got power, 15 home runs, 10 steals, double digits in both this season. Just something to keep your eye on against a Baltimore team that, let's be honest, is bad.
Love to see it, man. Love to see it. So as we wrap up the show here, let's get our final thoughts for the night. Nick, what do you think, buddy?
Listen, I know we're talking a lot of baseball here, but I want to talk about the disgraceful, pompous jerk that is the worst USA men's basketball head coach of all time, Greg Popovich. I mean, this guy, who does he think he is? Just being so disrespectful to the media and thinking he's so above them, all high and mighty. What has this guy won without Tim Duncan and Kawhi Leonard? Kawhi Leonard ran out of San Antonio as fast as he could because he wanted nothing to do with this guy. Popovich, you're done. It's time to retire. Especially, I mean, if Team USA doesn't win the Olympic gold here, we got a problem. Get rid of this guy. Bring Jeff Van Gundy in to take over Team USA. You need somebody who actually has some energy and wants to be there. How about Mark Jackson? There's got to be somebody better than this guy. It shouldn't be a career achievement award to be able to coach Team USA. You got to have the energy. You got to be there. You can't just show up a few weeks before the Olympics. And I don't care if, some of the big stars are missing that we usually see. There's enough star power here. The best player in the Olympics is Kevin Durant, and you're getting blown out in the first game. Come on, Popovich. And then you have the nerve after the game to complain to the media. Enough. You better win the gold medal.
Love to hear about it. Love to hear about it. So I would say, if you haven't already, checked out Matthew Orso. He's got 2 books. He's got Bonded at the Beams, and he's got Baseball Card Generations. Love to see it. A 2-time published author. Hello, Your Honor. No objections. Mr. Orso, a little round of applause there, baby. An accomplished author. Love to see it.
I appreciate it. I wrote those books. Bonded at the Seams was 10 years ago. I was a senior in high school. I wrote that. And then Baseball Card Generations was a children's book about a grandpa teaching his grandchildren life lessons through baseball cards. Had 42 different chapters to honor Jackie Robinson. Book that was close to my heart, and I'm and makes me think of my
Let's not forget the Orso method made its debut in those books.
You know what's so funny? I completely forgot I invented that.
You got to tell Johnny about the Orso method. What do you think Shohei Ohtani's Orso method score is going to be for this season?
It was something called total base advancement efficiency. I'll be honest, I don't really remember it. It was that long ago. One stat I'm really looking at now that I really want to dive into is like this pitcher's run net differential kind of thing, or how many runs a pitcher is driven in versus how many he's allowed. DeGrom is at a -2 this year, which would be an all-time record for like qualified pitchers if he gets qualified. Ohtani,
I think Zach Wheeler is going to win the Cy Young at this point, unfortunately.
No.
You think DeGrom could still win it?
If DeGrom's at like 90 innings. If he gets to 150 over the final 2 months, he's your Cy Young winner, even if he doesn't qualify for the ERA title. He's got a 108 ERA.
All right. Fair. We ask everybody on our guests of the show. So DeGrom, Cy Young, who's your MVPs? I'm guessing you got Tatis and Ohtani. What are you thinking there?
I got Ohtani definitely in the American League. 37.
Not Guerrero, no Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Come on, stop it! I don't care what anybody says. If Vlad Guerrero, if Vlad Guerrero, dude, if he wins the Triple Crown, how are you going to tell me Vlad Guerrero is not the MVP?
He's not going to catch Ohtani.
How do you know?
Gonna win the triple. Well, no, not
how? If Vlad Guerrero, dude, let's call it what it is here. If Vlad Guerrero leads the league in batting average, which he's literally right there in. If he leads the league in home runs, yes, he's 5 behind Ohtani, but Guerrero could hit 5
home runs. Correct.
Guerrero could hit 5 home runs in a week, and he's two RBIs off the major league lead behind Rafael Devers, and he's leading the league in OPS. Both of these teams are probably not making the playoffs. Yes, Ohtani pitches, we get it, but I mean at the same time, like, how can you tell me a guy who's batting 330 plus, leading the league in home runs, leading the league in average, leading the league in RBIs, leading the league in OPS, wins a Triple Crown, does not, even a quadruple crown, doesn't win MVP just because the other guy has been a pretty solid pitcher this year? Like, listen, Ohtani's had his moments. He's, listen, if it wasn't for some sexy strikeout numbers, I mean, he just finally started going a little bit deeper into ball games, but he hasn't wowed as a pitcher. I mean, honestly, a lot of his listen, this is what I can't say about box scores. If you've watched Ohtani pitch a lot this year, he's gotten out of a lot of trouble that he shouldn't have gotten out of. His ERA should be way more bloated. He's left so many runners on base. He's gotten some bailed out defensive plays. Yes, it counts. I understand it. But his ERA should be much worse than what it is. It's 3.5? Ohtani's pitching. Yes, he pitches, but dude, as a hitter, if you win the Triple Crown, I don't understand how you could not win MVP. Like as great as Ohtani has been this year, to me, it just doesn't make sense, especially when you factor in both teams missing the playoffs.
couple things let me just say on this. I agree in that sense. However, you have to keep in mind that what Ohtani has done without Mike Trout. Mike Trout is not on this team. Hear me out here. The Angels are above 500 or relatively close and still themselves only 5 back of a playoff spot. They are not anywhere near any of this without Ohtani, who is the team's best pitcher and one of the best offensive threats in the majors. He has about 10 more extra base hits than any other player in baseball this season. Now, I get it. I love old-fashioned numbers. I love the Triple Crown. When Miguel Cabrera won it a few years back, being the first player since Yaz to do it, I loved it. But what Ohtani is doing right now has not been seen since Babe Ruth. And better.
Oh, my God. I can't wait here. Bro, all I'm saying is this. If Mike Trout was playing, and this is why
Angels be in the playoffs.
Bro, this is what people ask me preseason. Preseason, people ask me this. And, like, especially in the beginning of the season, Ohtani's a good shot to win MVP. I was like, dude, he's not even the best player on his own team. So the only reason that he's even in contention right now is because Mike Trout's out. Yes, that's the nature of the game.
I want to get back to this, but I got the details on the Rizzo package.
Yes.
And it's only 2 guys, and it's not Luke Voigt. So now the Yankees are going to be sellers with Luke Voigt. We'll see what they get from Alexander Vizcaino and Kevin Alcantara. So what a deal by the Yankees, giving up nobody to get Anthony Rizzo.
Cubs didn't want to pay him, man. They didn't want to pay him. It costs nothing to make an offer.
Does it say how much money the Yankees are going to be paying of Rizzo's remaining salary?
$0. $0. The Cubs are paying all of it. Yeah.
Cubs paying all of it.
Yes.
Okay, this is huge. This allows
what are the Cubs doing? How stupid are these guys?
Okay. Let me just say this.
He's getting up. He's about to go run victory laps here, Johnny.
Nick, you know me. I don't run anything. But
you
let
run
me
through
tell
the drive-through at Wendy's.
No. Actually, I've stopped going to Wendy's. Food's a little too greasy. If they're a sponsor, I apologize.
Sponsor.
But let me put it this way. The Yankees are not paying any salary on Joey Gallo for this season. They're now, according to reports, not paying for Rizzo. You know what that means? We still have room under the luxury tax. Plenty of room. We can go out and get another piece. The deadline is not over. So the New York Yankees...
They're going to get Barrios, I think. I think they'll get him. But, all right, so real quick, we got to go. But who's your MVP in the NL and who's your Cy Young in the AL?
Cy Young in the AL, that's tough because there are a lot of guys.
I would take Rodon. I would take Rodon or Lynn over Cole right now. I got to be honest.
Now.
That's my boy, dude. I love Tyler Glass now. I really
go Rodon.
If he stayed healthy.
That's my boy,
his arm
dude.
Is amazing.
He was my pick.
I give it to Rodon. Rodon right now.
I would say Rodon's got to be leading the pack, man.
Yeah.
Cole's the sexier name, but like, dude, Rodon has been a revelation this year. He's been way better, and he's on a team that's going to win their division. He's on a team that might be the number 1 seed in the AL potentially.
I agree. An NL MVP,
Tatis.
I don't see how you don't give it to Tatis Jr. right now. What he's doing at his age, absolutely awesome.
You love to see it with Fernando Tatis, man. He's been awesome. He started off a little rough, but he's really picked it up. He's starting to heat up the last month or so. And, dude, I mean, he's looking at a realistic shot with 45 home runs at shortstop. Dude, we haven't seen a shortstop hit that many home runs since, like, the Hanley Ramirez. Or he didn't even hit that many. He was high 30s, but
I think it was A-Rod.
Oh, yeah, when A-Rod was playing short. Right.
Tatis should have been MVP last year, I thought.
I was surprised Machado finished ahead of him.
That was shocking. Very shocking.
Well, Matthew Orso, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us yes, absolutely. It was a great show. Tell everybody where they can find you.
I'm on Twitter at Matthew_Orso. Guys, this has been awesome. I got a lot of energy, got a lot of venting out. Durst setting it up with Rosenthal to get me this Rizzo news as I'm talking.
Go celebrate with an extra large Diet Coke and an extra large iced coffee. And we're going to get you back on in October for sure.
Yes, absolutely, man. Got to get you back on, bro. So for everybody, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolutely extraordinary episode of Johnny VTV Live, joined by a very special guest, Matthew Orso, who we will have on very soon, new friend of the show. Thank you very much, Nick. Always a pleasure. This has been Johnny VTV Live. Until next week.